All right, we're here with Austin Gremolus, the manager of the meat lab this week, and we're going to ask him a few questions about barbecuing.
How's it going, Wyatt?
Good, how are you?
I'm good.
So, first, how can you make your barbecue equipment last longer?
It's a simple thing that you can do to make your barbecue equipment last longer. Cleaning. Make sure that you, after each time that you use your grill or barbecue pit, whatever you're using to cook meat, you have to clean it. Obviously there's a buildup of grease from the meat, from the fat dripping down, and the charcoal that you might use or the wood. So you got to clean that out and make sure that the grill grate's clean, make sure the bottom of the grill is clean. If you have a lot of ash, and the weather's been wet lately, so that ash will absorb that moisture, and eventually if you have a metal grill, will rust that out. The bottom of it will fall out. People experience that a lot. So simple cleaning is a good way to maintain your grill.
Alright, so second question, how do you keep your meat from drying out?
How do you keep your meat from drying out? That is a good question. A lot of people have, especially when you're cooking for a long period of time, you can run into meat eventually losing all of its water or the fat, which keeps it moist. A good way to keep meat moist throughout a cooking process, especially if you're barbecuing, so low and slow for a long time, you can add a pan of water to the barbecue grill, whether it's underneath or on the side, somewhere where it can evaporate and provide moisture in that cooking process. Otherwise, typically most smoked meat, after a couple hours, you're not going to get a lot more smoke, so people will take and wrap their meat cuts in tin foil for the last couple hours of that cooking process to keep more moisture locked inside.
Alright, so another question. How do you know when your meat is done, and what temps should you bring it to?
It really depends on what you're cooking. If we're barbecuing, whether or not, or if we're grilling a steak, if we're doing seafood on the grill, it really depends on the cut that you're cooking. Obviously, there are some cuts that we have to cook till they're 160 degrees plus. Any ground item should be cooked to 160 degrees. Poultry items, for the most part, should be cooked to 165 to 170 degrees internal temp. And steaks, you can eat just like pork. You could eat them medium rare, so 145 degrees to 150. Steak really depends on your preference. But if you're barbecuing, I would say brisket, good temp to reach is 170. You're right in between it being an item that's just going to pull apart rather than fall apart. If you get up to 180, 190 degrees, you're getting more of a pulled brisket item. Something you want to shoot for when you're doing pork butt on the barbecue grill. So if you're doing a pork butt, cook it to 190. That scapula bone should just pull out. If you're doing ribs, it's really hard to temp ribs because of the thinness of the meat between the ribs. So a good way to check to see if they're done is to hold them up with the tongs, and if they flop over and don't fall apart, but you see a little breaking of that muscle tissue away from the rib bone, then it's a good indication that they're done.
Okay.
Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, I think you did a pretty good job for that one. So, what meat should you smoke and what meat should you avoid smoking?
You should smoke everything. Everything's better with smoke. It really depends on your preference. You can smoke practically every piece of meat that you want. It doesn't matter if it's ribs. It doesn't have to be associated with a barbecue to have it smoked. So if you have a grill that is a smoker and a cooker, or a grill and a oven like my green egg that I own, you can smoke everything that you cook. If you have a gas grill, you can certainly do the same thing. Just need wood chips to add. Some of them now come with little boxes or trays where you can add wood chips to add a little smoke, but you should get that going before you put the steak on. If you don't, you're not going to get that smoky flavor. But you can smoke anything. It doesn't matter if it's ribs, if it's brisket. It doesn't have to be associated with barbecue. It could be fish, it could be shrimp, you could do vegetables. Vegetables absorb that smoke flavor as well.
All right, well, that's all the questions we have for you today. Thanks for coming over here and interviewing with us, and I hope you have a great rest of the weekend.
You too, Wyatt.